Nikkei Asia News Roundup with Jada and Brian. Welcome to the Nikkei Asia News Roundup, where we bring you the latest updates and insights on the dynamic world of Asia and more. I am your host, Brian, and for today's episode, we have a special guest.
Hi, I'm Lisa Kim, Nikkei Asia's Chief Markets Correspondent, filling in for Jada. Thanks for having me here.
Are you ready to delve into the headlines?
Let's do it.
This program is brought to you by Nikkei. Nearly 10% of newly built condominiums in large properties sold in Tokyo in the first half of 2024 were resold within a year, government data shows, spurring the real estate industry to take action to curb an apparent rise in speculative deals and short-term flipping.
Malaysia's plan to bar those under the age of 16 from opening social media accounts beginning next year has garnered support from some parents and children's rights activists, but critics warn of broader surveillance and a wider digital divide.
The tea industry in India, the world's second-largest producer after China, is battling its most serious production crisis in years, as prolonged dry spells, an erratic monsoon, and rising temperatures have squeezed yields in a sign of how climate change threatens to reshape global trade flows in one of the world's most consumed beverages.
Indonesia's leading digital banks have reported a surge in profit this year. Thanks to tech-savvy young users, they've outperformed bigger peers hit by macroeconomic headwinds.
In over 2 months, Tehran has seen only an hour's rain as of this week, nowhere near enough to budge levels in the reservoirs of the parched country where water cuts have become another daily struggle. The country's president has loosely set a deadline of December 21st for the evacuation of the capital if conditions do not improve.
Australia is the world's top exporter of sheep meat, and it's telling people in Vietnam to consume more lamb. Australia has been looking for new customers worldwide since being hit with a 10% tariff by the U.S. Now, moving on to the next segment.
South Korea's spirited baseball league seeks to replicate Japan's success. Baseball has long been considered as American as apple pie, and over the past 50 years, the sport received a massive surge in representation from Central and South American players and fans. But with Japan, which is the sport's biggest market outside the United States and Canada, and South Korea working hard to catch up, the face of the sport is gaining an even greater international look. The Korea Baseball Organization has reason for optimism. In 2025, the league's total attendance grew to a record 12.3 million, breaking the previous season's total attendance record of 10.7 million. A sports editor at Seoul's Yonhap news agency attributes part of that success to KBO's digital push, saying that a new streaming deal, quote, allowed fans to edit and upload highlights themselves. Efforts are not only online. At the stadiums, the focus has turned to experience and affordability. Suwon's KT Wiz sell whole roast chicken at their ballpark for 22,000 Korean won, or $15, while Starbucks partnered with Incheon's SSG Landers to offer a strawberry-based drink unique to the team. Classic snacks like fried chicken and hot dogs remain inexpensive crowd pleasers. Japan's Nippon Professional Baseball remains the Asian benchmark, however, drawing more than 27 million fans in 2025.
China's long-term yields sink below Japan's for the first time. China's long-term government bond yields recently fell below Japan's for the first time ever. This underscores how Asia's two largest economies are going in different directions. Yields on the benchmark 10-year Chinese government bonds have been in the 1.83% range versus Japanese bonds that rose to 1.84% last week. Chinese bonds have fallen due to persistent deflationary pressures and expectations of loose monetary policy. China is struggling to recover from the property market downturn and the aftermath of its COVID-19 policies. Japan's consumer price index is holding steady at around 3%, whereas China's inflation gauge fell in 6 out of the first 10 months of the year. Long-term bond yields are influenced by a country's economic growth, inflation, and fiscal health. Bond yields move inversely to prices.
And now for news highlights. Today we're sharing a couple of Nikkei Asia's most well-read stories in the last few days. And in our top 10 list, we have to go with the serious one first, I think, is what's going on between Japan and China.
Yeah, Brian. So this is a huge story that's dominated headlines recently, isn't it? So diplomatic tensions between Japan and China have intensified since Japanese Prime Minister Sanai Takaichi told Parliament in early November that Japan would be in a, quote, survival-threatening situation, quote, if, this is a huge if Taiwan were to be attacked. And this classification would enable, in theory, Japan to exercise collective self-defense and intervene to protect allies, which largely points to American troops. And Beijing was upset. It instantly criticized Takaichi's comments and urged her to retract them. And of course, Beijing retaliated by telling its citizens to avoid traveling to Japan and reconsider studying in Japan. And Takaichi has stood by her comments, but her diplomats got to work. Senior official went to China to ease tensions, and this is, I think, quite an issue because foreign visitors to Japan totaled a record nearly 32 million in the first 9 months of this year, and a quarter of them were from China. So Chinese tourists made up the largest group of visitors to Japan. And a Wall Street Journal report recently said that after Prime Minister Takaichi's comment, President Trump and President Xi hopped on a call during which the Chinese leader basically sort of lodged his complaint, and later that day Trump spoke with Prime Minister Takaichi and reportedly told her to sort of tone it down when it comes to Taiwan.
This is it keeps on developing, this story. We have many articles about this, so I'm surprised one actually made it up so high on the list because there's a whole bunch of them, and it's changing all the time. And that thing about travel is like, that's a huge number because travelers to Japan, I think it's set to breach an all-time record this year of visitors to Japan, and a huge chunk of those are people from China. So if this,
the largest group.
Yeah. So if this keeps on going, because that's another thing, some experts are saying, if this doesn't get resolved quickly, diplomatically, this could have very long-term implications or keep on going. Because the prime minister, she's only been prime minister for about a little over a month now.
Right.
So it keeps on developing. We're keep on tracking it. So it's probably, just in a few days, there'll be more stories coming out about this. But that's our serious story for today. We move on. This is an interesting one about Pakistan. It made it number 2 on the list this week for our top 10 stories. And it's about a brewery in Pakistan that has a license to export. And it's the only one in Pakistan that has a license to export because it's been banned from having export, producing beer that way, for 50 years, since 1977.
Why?
It's just very strict laws in Pakistan. And there are restrictions on who can buy, and it's a heavily Muslim country, of course. Yeah. And you have to have a permit, and there's about 9 million people who live in Pakistan who are not Muslim, and they, I guess, are allowed to drink. But you have to have a permit to do that. And also companies have to have a permit to sell and to export. And so the story is, it's more of a life and arts piece, talking about this brewery and how it's managed to stay alive for all these years. And you might be wondering, well, what about the person that runs the brewery? And he's Zoroastrian, which I thought was fascinating. So it's one of those stories that it's surprising to see get up to the top, but once you start reading the story, you realize, yeah, I could see why this is interesting.
Yeah, I can see it too. It's a mix of economy, culture, religion, history.
And I thought
fascinating.
And I thought it was kind of interesting that I don't know if this was planned. I highly doubt it's just a coincidence. But we also have another story. Didn't make the top 10. I'm going to mention it anyway. Is a life and art story about craft beer in India. So Pakistan's neighbor, and how they're going full tilt in like local ingredients and making their own types because
wow.
famously the I in IPA stands for Indian Pale Ale. It's the Indian there, but
right.
that's because it was shipped to India from Britain and they added ingredients so it lasts longer. But interesting that we have two beer stories that are doing well.
And our third story
yeah.
is also in the F&B industry. Could you maybe tell us about it?
Well, we've talked about K-pop before, and we're talking about it again, but this time we're going to talk about how it has helped the popularity of instant noodles, and particularly Korean instant noodles, which are known for being, I guess they're known for being spicier.
Spicy. I think the whole craze started really with bulldog.
Okay.
Yeah, you probably have come across TikTok shorts or TikTok videos or YouTube shorts of people doing the whole spicy ramen noodle challenge.
Oh, my. Not for me, no. But,
right, and it's huge. It's so huge that when President Trump slapped tariffs or quote unquote reciprocal tariffs on trading partners, I remember doing a short video about how bulldog noodles are all made in Korea, so the ones that are shipped to all of them, all the noodles that are sold in the U.S. will be subject to tariffs, and the video did quite well, which shows how popular the bulldog noodles are. And what's really interesting is it's easy to say this is popular, right? But if you look at share prices, it's remarkable. Samyang Foods, which is the parent, which is the company that produces bulldog, they are up 95% this year. And yes,
what?
your eyes just widened. Yeah, almost doubled. And this really outperforms the Kospi, Korea's benchmark index. That's also up 66%. It's done really well. But Samyang Foods has nearly doubled this year. And of course, when K-pop Demon Hunters went viral or huge, yeah.
That's the angle the story opens with, isn't it? Where,
yeah.
Because if you've seen the movie K-pop Demon Hunters, which has been a phenomenal hit recently, one of the opening scenes where the girl group is carb loading, I guess, for their concert, and they're carb loading on instant noodles. And I guess it was a specific brand. I've seen the movie, but I don't remember the brand name being shown. I do remember the characters had their own personalized noodle cups with their names written on them. But and then they fight demons, and that was sort of the major thrust of that scene. But I guess the part everybody remembers is the noodles they were eating.
Yeah, absolutely.
That brings us to the end of this episode.
We look forward to having you join us next time.
Stay informed, stay curious. Until next time, I'm Brian.
And I'm Lisa. This program is brought to you by Nikkei.